And we're live! Hello there! And welcome to Wednesday's video on how to attract your perfect clients with Declan and Jo-Anne with Jason Kinney here today. We're here all morning, busy as bees, creating a really interesting and empowering ebook and video series and workshop program we're putting together for how to avoid burnout in 3 steps. And in this video, we're going to actually share with you some of the 3 steps. We're going to pick one of the 3 steps and we're going to discuss them each here for you today, because particularly when it comes to entrepreneurs and business owners, you know, it's something that we've seen and we've gone through ourselves, where I've experienced burnout, and I know Jo-Anne has and Jason has. And what we love to try and get across to people now is how to avoid burnout. And I just see we have a message here from Sandra Griffin. Hello, Sandra. Welcome. So we're going to start off with Jason. Jason's going to pick out one of the topics when it comes to what we're focusing on is the body, mind, and soul. So Jason is the body, as you can see. Mr. Muscles. I'm going to be the mind.
I know about that now.
And Jo-Anne is going to be the soul. So we'll kick it off with Jason Kinney.
Oh, thanks very much. I suppose one of the topics that I suppose hold dear to my own heart is sleep. It's something that we're all lacking at the best of times, and I suppose most of us spend a lot of our time looking at trying to get as much hours in as possible to get rest. The unfortunate thing about it is with sleep itself, it's actually not really down to the amount of hours we put in, but rather the quality of time we put in through sleep. And usually, I suppose, they say that the most effective time is between 10 and 2. That's not 10 a.m. now and 2 p.m. in the day. That's 10 p.m. at night to 2 a.m. in the morning. And it's when your body starts to shut down, and melatonin and stuff is starting to produce, which obviously pushes you into a deeper sleep. But you know, the problem is with sleep as well, with the lack of it, it has an adverse effect to so many different things, including weight gain. And I'm being bold in saying that it can be a massive effect on how much weight you actually gain. And the reason being is, again, like with the melatonin produced as well, your body goes into a state where the hormones start to operate, in that it's starting to repair, recover, and your human growth hormone is actually produced as well while you're asleep. So you just got to be very careful about your amount of sleep you're actually getting. You know, they have worked it out at the amount of time each stage of your life that you're actually required to have during your sleep. And like babies are something insane, like 14 to 16 hours or something like that a day they're required to have. And by the time you come to the latter end of the years, you're looking at maybe 7 to 8 hours of sleep. But you know, quality sleep gives you great concentration. If you're not getting enough sleep, it can affect your decision making, your decisions in what you do in work, in life. It can affect your relationships. And they do say that sleep deprivation is probably the worst form of torture to this. And I can tell you, if anyone has had any kids, it's tough. If you're getting up in the middle of the night and you're back in and everything you think is sorted, and then you're back up again, you know, it's quite intense on the body. But the circadian cycle is based on a process that you're supposed to be awake during the day and asleep at night. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out for us that way. And you'll find that because of the culture we're in nowadays, that we have a tendency to look at our phone the last couple of hours before bed, and even while we're in bed, we're looking at our phones or on our tablets or even watching TV and stuff like that. But just an hour of that suppresses your melatonin production by half an hour. So you're holding it back each time, back and back and back further. So that's not really good. In terms of tips of getting yourself a decent sleep at night, they reckon that just reducing even 1 degree can affect how well you sleep. But the optimum, they say, is between 18 to 21 degrees of Celsius, I suppose, in room temperature. Also, light has a huge effect. Your room should be in darkness. Because light does affect melatonin. I suppose during the day what we're getting is serotonin, which is from our daylight, which helps the production of melatonin. It's all very complicated, but to be honest, in a nutshell, if you reduce the amount of light that you have coming into your room, and that means any devices that you have, turn them off. if you do have something on your screen, try and put on the protective screen. There's an app on the iPhone and most Androids now, and it's a kind of a night
night switch.
mode. And even on your computer screen, just reduce that you're constantly getting this flux in your eyes, because this is your wake up. So when, as I said, when you're supposed to be asleep, you're supposed to be asleep. When you're awake, you're supposed to be awake. But with all the artificial light that's out there and all the technology that we have around us, it's keeping us awake, and it's also keeping our body awake. So it's not getting a chance to repair, recover. And like even from a gym point of view, if any of you are listening in and go to the gym or working out and exercise wise, you have to understand as well that this is where you grow. You don't grow in the gym. You don't grow when you're out playing tennis. You don't grow when you're swimming or running. You grow when you're resting and recovering. That's when your body grows the most. There was a study done. I'm not sure who did the study, but it was people who were suffering from insomnia, and they literally had gone through all sorts of tests and they couldn't cure this. It's quite severe they had. And they reduced their body temperature, used a special suit, reduced it by 1 degree, and completely eradicated insomnia, which is phenomenal. So it goes to show you, the difference. From a health point of view, it's a huge factor. It's one of the factors that's taken for granted. We throw ourselves down, we get a couple of hours sleep, and that'll do us, and it really isn't enough. It's about the sleeping smarter rather than longer.
I also a while ago I read a blog post on a female entrepreneur that I follows, originally from Australia, and she lives in the UK. And she said she at some point in her life she kept burning out, and there was these spells, like 4 or 5 years, where she was in this burnout cycle constantly. And what she found is that she never had winter time. So she lived here in the UK, so she was here all summer, and then when winter hits here, she went down to Australia and she had summer again. So her body never went into that deep rest and sleep, the bare hibernation mode that we do need. And she said that was such a huge wake-up call for her. She says now she spends some of her time here in the winter months so that her body actually can get that deep rest that it needs. But she thought, she always feels alive and woo, it's great, it's summer and there's sunshine, and she thought that would be better for her, but it was actually quite the reverse.
And it's interesting because it's the dopamine hit that we're getting the whole time. We spoke about this there recently. Dopamine is actually, it's supposed to be the happy one. It's supposed to be, you get that high, that fix. But it's actually, they've now realised, they call it now the seeking hormone, which means that if you're scrolling through media or you're scrolling through something, we'll say like Instagram or Facebook, and you keep going until you find something you like or whatever, and you have that opiate effect. And then what happens afterwards is you go, I'll go again, and before you know it, you have a half an hour gone, you have an hour gone on the phone or the computer. And so it can actually be really detrimental to your health as well. So it can get, looking for the sunshine, your serotonin is constantly produced, and you're not given a chance for the melanoma to kick in.
So it's like we have this circadian rhythm on a daily basis, but also throughout the year, through a long term, there's a longer rhythm that, that's very natural to us that we need to follow. So it's very
so sleep is good.
And
have a nap. And actually, power naps are very very good.
Spanish have it down to a fine art.
It's something that over the years I've done, and I never actually said it to anybody because I felt kind of embarrassed to say that I used to take power naps during the day. Not every day, some days. The only day I didn't do it really was of a Sunday, I think. I know, I'm only joking. But sometimes it's really, really good to take a power nap if you feel it. And a power nap, like 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. That's all, It's amazing what happens. Yeah. And sometimes when you're on the road, and I used over the years do this when I was on the road quite a bit, was I'd often pull in and just actually have a power nap. And I was laser sharp then when I was going meeting people, because I wasn't going in there with that fogginess and the tiredness. I was able to knock it out of the way. So I think it's a very, very important topic when it comes to avoiding burnout. And I think for me, when I heard you telling me this before, there was one thing I asked you was, well, how do you? This is such a stupid question on my part, but it's not really a stupid question now, but I think. But is how do you figure out the heat in the room or the degrees in the room? What's the answer?
Well, I mean,
Just in case anyone is thinking the same thing.
Well, everybody's different. I mean, obviously you have thermostats in your house, and winter time is going to be a different thing. So you're going to have heating on to a certain degree. Every house is different. You've got your fans. You've got you live abroad. You've got your air cons.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically, you know, sometimes people used to even put wet kind of towels or whatever it was on their chest just to kind of cool down the body and things like that. Yeah, going to bed in a full tracksuit and a full pajamas mightn't always be, you know, although maybe nice and toasty. But see, what happens if you think about it, your body starts to cool down, the core temperature is cooling, and during the middle of the night it starts to warm up again, so you start to wake up. So that's the cycle that Jo-Anne is on about, that circadian rhythm, you know, that circadian cycle. You have to have that natural flow. It affects everything. So yeah, open window if you have to open window, if it's possible.
Thermostat, so
open doors, let air circulate around the room. If you have a decent thermometer in the room, have a look and see what you're at in terms of temperature wise. Look, if you've been sleeping like that for such a long period of time and your sleep isn't as bad, then maybe just, if you can by some way, just reduce that even by 1 degree. You see what happened in that study. It might make all the difference to the quality of sleep, and you wake up bouncing. Because if you think about it, sometimes, and I'm sure this has happened to you guys, you've got a shorter sleep, but for some reason you're up and bouncing. And I noticed that if we're going away on holidays, and it's not just the excitement of getting out of Ireland, but rather it's the, I suppose you get to bed earlier. You make sure you're in bed by 9, half 9, and then you're up by 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock, whatever it is. You have to go and head towards Dublin for me in my case. But you're driving away and you're going, why am I not tired? And that's, you know, that's what your body has just got, that quality, that exact amount that's required, it's needed. And there's the studies that are happening with this is just insane. It's absolute minefield. It's basically looking into a bowl of spaghetti and trying to figure it out. And they keep unlocking more and more stuff the whole time, you know.
I have to say, just last point on that is something that I usually try and do is at least one day somewhere in the week I don't set my alarm, and I wake up when I wake up, and I allow my body to do,
and it will do it.
But it's you know, I try not to force myself to wake up. Like, you know, at the moment I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm up at 5:30 in the morning to be in time for the class. But at least somewhere over my weekend where I don't have places to be or things to do, I just allow myself to sleep it out until I wake up. I need that.
No, it's very good. Well done. Yeah, it's cool.
So that's step 1 of our 3-step process. Step 2, so that's the body. So the body with Jason, he was talking. That's the body. Was the screen big enough for that? So that's step 1 of our 3-step process when it comes to, you know, trying to help you how to avoid burnout, especially if you work for yourself when you're running your own business. But even if you don't work for yourself, these are 3 very, very important topics. Now, there's a lot more Jason could go into, but we're going to be covering those in the ebook and the video series and the workshops. And the next one then is the mind. So it's all about how to empty the mind, especially, I know for me, when I was burned out a couple of times in my life, I didn't even have a mind. I couldn't even think. It was like it was a big mush where I couldn't even focus. I was so tired, I was so run down, I was so lethargic. Even getting out of the bed was actually difficult. And even trying to sleep was difficult, I found, when I was burnt out. And one thing I did find to help me was to actually empty whatever was going on for me and put it on paper. If any of you are watching this and you have followed myself and Jo-Anne for the last while, you know I'm a big believer in putting pen to paper. I'm a big believer in that over technology. And technology, yes, has its place, but if you can pick up a pen and start to write and express what's going on for you, it really does help you with the recovery process. Because sometimes you don't even know what's going on for you, and if you can ask yourself empowering questions like, what is going on for me? And then just start writing what could be going on for you. And it could be something that you didn't even imagine was going on for you. It could be something to do with a relationship that you had with somebody, or it could be to do with a family member, or it could be to do with some client that didn't pay you, and all of a sudden you realised, why didn't that client pay me? I'm doing all this work. I'm putting in all these hours, and all of a sudden they're not paying me for the quality work that I'm delivering. and you just get the body that's the trigger that actually switches you off, and literally switches you off all over your body and mind. So pick up the pen, write stuff down, release whatever it is that's going on for you, and eventually when you start to get through your burnout phase, then start doing time blocks. Start blocking your time for when you're actually going to go working, and more importantly, start time blocking when you're going to take time for you to switch off and actually take time to go out in nature. And Jo-Anne will touch on stuff here in a second, but it's very, very important to block your time so you can actually take time for you.
And make sure there's white space on your schedule where you can take time for yourself, where there's nothing scheduled.
Exactly.
You can take a power nap.
Exactly, even schedule the power nap.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about just putting stuff on paper, but also we forget to read books nowadays. You know, I mean, we read everything off of the screen.
Yeah.
I find it difficult myself at the best of times. I like to pick up a book and just read a book, you know, and put it back down. And I think it's nicer as well. And obviously it's easier on the eye.
Yeah, especially before you go to bed.
Yeah.
If you can be reading something before you actually go to bed rather than on your phone. This is something I've started doing lately, and I've found a huge difference in it. Because what I used to be doing was I was on my phone, looking at my phone before I go to sleep, and then, like Jason touched on, I'm not getting proper quality sleep, and I'm waking up wondering, why am I feeling a bit groggy?
Yeah.
And the minute I actually disconnected from the phone, and I've started now putting the phone outside of my room and putting the alarm on, so I have to get up and jump out of bed and go and turn off my alarm. It's made a huge difference.
Very good.
Huge difference. Yeah.
Really good.
So we'll go on to our third one.
The most important.
Jo-Anne herself.
Well, you know, as I'm listening to the guys, you know, very often burnout symptoms, or as it's also known as entrepreneurial fatigue, this is a new word, but also, you know, but it's also known as the entrepreneurial depression very often, because it can represent in emotions. So as I'm listening to the guys, it's like very often that is where we think they are the most obvious places for it to show up, is in the body, and usually is, you know, we all have our different symptoms, and we actually did a video on burnout, but more specific around the symptoms before, so have a look through the archives. We went through it there, but you know, very often it shows up really tired, or my head is just so busy. It's like, I heard something great the other day, it's like there's just too many tabs open in my head, like on a computer. It's like I need to close down some tabs. So, but you know, on an emotional level, you know, like I said, it can very often mask as depression symptoms, or I just feel really low in myself, and it's like I'm just not, my mood is just not picking up. So if that is the case, a while back I had a client that was just so busy. She had a full-time job, she had a lot of personal things going on, and then she was studying, and she sat in front of me and she said, you know, she was quite hyper, you know, all the adrenaline in her body, and I said, I need you to go home and switch off everything and not see anybody this weekend. You need to just shut down. You literally need to rest and just shut down.
Reboot.
And you know, the only thing that I would recommend you do is just go and spend time out in nature.
Very good.
So schedule time for yourself, you know, and spend time among things that has actual energy. So it's like Jason touched on and Dec touched on, is we spend so much time on technology, and we are surrounded by these EMFs all the time, the electromagnetic fields all the time, and that really impacts us. So if we can actually spend time, say, walking out on the lawn, if you're lucky enough to live near the sea, go and walk on the beach, or just go and sit with your back to a tree. You'll be amazed what it feels like just to be in touch with another living being that doesn't have anything to say to you, right? Or doesn't have any demands of you. It just stands there, right? So it's like, but it's amazing to just be in touch.
You can hug a tree.
Exactly. It's like, we're all tree huggers here.
Jason's going, no, I'm not. I'm not a tree hugger.
I'm just going to slip out of this video.
But, you know, but it is amazing when we actually just spend time, and you know, for people that live in the cities as well, usually burn out very quickly because they're not surrounded by natural elements, or they don't get in touch with those natural energies. And I think that's really important. And you know, you both touched on things that have a huge impact on emotions as well, and you know, writing about what's going on for you and just emptying out. You know, just emptying out so that you'll feel a lot lighter.
That's one way. That's one way in emptying the hard drive, emptying the mind.
Yeah, is to write it out, and then make sure you you have some set days where you just don't schedule anything. That it's just white space for you.
Yeah.
Another example I can give, somebody a therapist that I know that I admire, religiously, she works 10 weeks and she takes a week off. Works 10 weeks, takes a week off.
Right.
And she has that rhythm. All of her clients know this is the way she works. So she says, if I don't do that, she goes, I am useless to my clients. Because I have to look after me in order to give them the best possible service that I can offer. And that is so important. So everybody's different. That really works really well for her. And like I said earlier, for me, I know I need to schedule at least one day in 2 weeks. I have to just sleep and wake up whenever I wake up without an alarm waking me up.
Yeah. and the thing is with the digital as well, when you have that digital detox, and you talk about energies, there's microwaves, the EMFs, the whole lot. I mean, at the end of the day, what happens to us a lot of the time as well is your whole life becomes guided by this particular news feed or this
reaction mode.
Yeah, you're just bought straight into it, and your whole day is dictated by the first thing you see on your phone and the first thing. And we're all guilty of it. And I've got into the habit now of I don't go near my phone for the first hour in the morning. I get off and get all my bits and pieces done. The same in the evening time, I'll power it down and get rid of it, because to be honest with you, I find myself getting caught up. I must check that out. I must check this up now and see what way this is going to be. And next thing is, before you know it, you're stuck in it, and that's it then.
And that's what happens. Most people, including me, I don't do it anymore, thankfully. Was they'd wake up in the morning and the first thing they check is their phone. But they go to their email inbox, and then they look at their emails, and then their day is in a reaction mode where they're reacting to the emails rather than actually taking action on what it is they want to get done. And then it comes to the end of the day and they're sitting down going, oh my God, I got nothing that I wanted to get done today. And they don't know why. It starts with your morning. You win your morning, you normally will win your day. So that's a key component. As you can see, there's so much we could go into here in one topic, but we're trying to keep it to one topic.
Jo-Anne's kicking me, shut up.
Jo-Anne is here and she's built the two of us. So hopefully you got some value from this video. We're going to be doing more of these, and hopefully you're gonna take something from them. And if you feel you got something from this, we'd love to hear from you. And make sure to share it with anyone that you feel might need to hear this right now. So,
and do remember, today is our last Facebook Live video.
Yes.
From next week on, we will be live on YouTube, and we will be sharing it on Facebook and all the other platforms as well. So if you haven't liked our YouTube channel yet, it's Dore TV. You'll find the link on our website. And we'll see you there next Wednesday.
Great. Awesome stuff. Brilliant.
Okay, so
see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Get some sleep.
Yes. Go and hug a tree.
Hug a tree, yeah. Bye.
Bye.